right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday Comic Book Hangover Show. My name is Nate from Hall Yak Comics. I am joined, as always, by my lovely co-host, Hagan from Lettuce Comics. And our guest today, we like to feature little-known comic book YouTubers. And so we found this guy. He's just starting out. This is Mike from Lunch Money Comics. Mike, welcome to the Sunday Comic Book Hangover Show.
Thank you for having me, guys. I'm really excited to hang out with you guys on the Sunday morning.
But yes, Mike, thanks for being here. Obviously, Mike is Hagan and I have talked about our like comic book YouTube holy trinity, right? And it really does kind of start with you, because you're the one who introduced me to the other two as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Lunch Money Comics, Brandon from Mon Comics, Ricky from All Sorts of Words. Those are the three that kind of got me to jump in. So to hang out with you today is really awesome. Got some things I want to ask you and get your perspective on from the journey you've been on in YouTube. You've been very successful, and you have an awesome collection of books and a lot of knowledge. So you're gonna be very fun to talk to. So thanks for being here.
Well, thank you. Very, very nice to say too. Yeah. That's great.
Before we get started, we do have a lot of people joining us in the chat, so I want to give some quick good mornings. Eric from SideQuest always manages to pop in at like 1 o'clock in the morning, so I don't think he's been here quite that long. I think he just likes to throw that in there.
I hope not. We're not worth camping out for. Surely.
No, these are not concert tickets, guys.
I've been up since 1. Waiting.
JSS, good morning. One of the best dang mods in all of comic book YouTube. Stevie D, good morning. Heard from him last night. Christina Payne, there's the other one of the greatest mods in comic book YouTube. Both of them are already dropping links to everybody. Here is Dan from Dan's Hobby Corner. Good morning. Jason from Renegade Rants. He's going to be joining us on the morning show coming up. I don't remember the date, but I did write it down. Adam from Up and Adam Comics. He is an actual newer comic book YouTuber who's been doing some awesome art and sharing that with other people in the community. Matt from Matt Likes Comics. He'll have the Sunday Super Show, the Superman show tonight at 9, and I will be on there tonight showing off some Superman comics. I feel like there's Rich from Big Nasty Comics. Good morning, Rich. Hope you're doing well. Am I missing anybody? That's a lot of people saying good morning to each other. There's Matt in Clemson. He's from Hagan's neck of the woods.
Yeah, hey. I think he said that he was driving home and he's listening to us on his way back to wherever it is that he lives. So
mystery.
Check your passenger side view mirror. It's been a while since you've checked that, buddy.
Christopher Parker, good morning. Just got to do a hangout with Brandon from Mon and Jason. There's Cliff. Good morning, Cliff. Well, we're also our favorite power couple.
That's the difficulty with Cliff, is that you never know what he's thinking.
No.
I do. I usually do.
I love Cliff. Chonko, another featured guest on the Sunday show. Jab.
Hey, y'all.
Good morning. Hey, there is our good buddy Dope. Good morning. Oh, another good buddy. It's Jeff from Comic Spa. Hey, Jeff. Hayden, the Next Gen Collector.
Mm-hmm.
Michael, just Michael. Good morning, Michael. Trying to get to the end here. I made it. I think I got everybody. If I missed you, I apologize. All right. Well, to get started, did anybody read anything this week, like new, old, whatever, that was just like, that was really stood out as something that was really good and worth talking about?
Good? I've read a lot of stuff. I've been trying to slowly catch up. I have a pile of read stuff. Nothing that like blew my socks off. That's nothing. Sort of the issue I'm in right now is like it has to be stuff that's completely different, unique, independent stuff, because I have no preconceived like expectations, and that's the thing. I've been reading, the new X-Men stuff, and some of it's been okay. I've enjoyed it. It's just quick, easily digestible stuff, but like it doesn't blow me away because you have I think I want the X-Men to be one thing and there's something else, and yeah, so I've been looking for different stuff. So I have been reading some stuff I do like, just not recently. I've been chipping away at that stuff. So I kind of get through the Marvel and DC I have to, and then get to the stuff that I want to read. So
yeah,
nothing.
Well, I do agree. Like most of the things I find that blow my mind are the indie books. Like there's an exception or two in some of the DC stuff, but oh, hold on, Dope. I'm gonna get there. That is my pick of the week, even though I don't think it was new this week. It's a book that he told me about called Out of Alcatraz, and it's not Image, it's Oni Press. And so this is a story of three guys who escaped from Alcatraz prison in like the, I don't know, 1940s, 50s. They're on the water, and one of them goes overboard, two of them wash ashore, and from there it is a very crime noir, like, you know, criminals hiding from the law trying to continue their escape, a lot of crisscross, you know, flip-flopping on each other. It real tense. The art was great. I love crime fiction, like especially older crime noir, and this just has that vibe. And so I don't know if anybody read Criminal by Ed Brubaker. That's one of my favorite Image runs of all time. Nobody does crime noir like Ed Brubaker does. Him and Sean Phillips. And so this just kind of, it ticked those boxes for me. So this I cannot recommend enough. Issue 2 comes out this month in April, so I'm really looking forward to this.
Add it to the list.
How about you, Hagan?
I started reading Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, the Tom King story. I've gotten about 4 or 5 issues into it, so like about halfway through.
How you feeling so far?
It's excellent. I really like the. I have a hard time with names, but the main girl who's not Superwoman. She is a character that Tom King, I think, came up with so that he could write like Tom King in a Supergirl book, which is just really, really fun. I like how different Supergirl feels to me than Superman does.
Right.
Because I'm not a DC person. Like I didn't grow up with that. And so to me, like the entire super family feels, from the outside looking in, feels samey. And this is helping me realize that they're not. It's really, really good. I really like, I like everything that I've read from Tom King. There's not a single thing that I've read from him that I've disliked.
I read the Ginny Sparks miniseries he did last year. That's the first thing I didn't really care for. Yeah. But almost everything else he's done, I've really liked a lot.
The first thing that I ever read of his was
Steven.
was a book. It's called A Once Crowded Sky, and it's really, really excellent if you aren't intimidated by 500 pages of just words. But there are comic panels in it.
There's no pictures. No, you told me about that one. I wasn't able to, like, it just, you know how sometimes I'm always trying to squeeze one novel in while I'm reading piles of comic books and news articles and things. So that I wasn't able to squeeze in 2. So that's, when I'm finished with what I'm reading now, that's on my list. I need to go back and read it because I do love Tom King so dang much. A couple of new people jumped in, so there's Old Stuff is Cool. Good morning. And Steven, I'm going to show something Steven gave me a little bit later as well. And Kay Munin joined us as well. This was actually one of my questions, so I just want to throw this out there to Mike. Because you are, like, Mike, I do think your channel, most of the people in my circle, at least, that have a channel, like, we started off by watching you and just thinking, man, I have a pile of comics, I could show some stuff too. What was your, like, what was the impetus for you that you were like, I'm gonna film myself talking about comic books and show it to a random general audience on YouTube?
All right. Well, there's 2 parts to that question. So the first one was, I guess the simple explanation was I was bored. I collect a lot of, antiques, and I mentioned on my channel, I collect a lot of crazy stuff, and comic books was always like my guilty pleasure, right? The sort of normal thing that I collected. And I don't remember exactly what the impetus was, but, I think I was at the big Brimfield flea market, and I got another pretty good pickup. I think it was like an Amazing Spider-Man, first Shocker. I got really cheap. I'm like, this is pretty cool. And I was, because it was like after the comic boom around there, everyone was talking about comic books and how much they were worth. And I started watching some like YouTubers online, and I was shocked by like everyone's talking about like key issues and how expensive they were and graded comics and the top 10 lists. And I was like, hold on a second. Like, I don't collect comic books like that at all. You can find really great comic books absolutely anywhere. With not much money, you can build a great collection. And I just felt like, and I still watch a lot of those YouTubers. Like, I really like watching them because you learn from them. You see what's kind of going on. You learn about key issues you didn't know about. But I remember thinking, I felt like all the comic YouTube space was catering. 90% of them were catering to the top 10% of collectors. They're talking about going to like huge comic shows and spending, $1,000 on a comic book or even $100 on a comic book was crazy to me. And I was like, that can't be the majority of collectors. Like, there've got to be more people like me that just read comic books, that can find them cheap. And I basically want to make the channel that like I would want to watch. Like, don't show me a big slab expensive book. Like, show someone just digging and finding a cool book. And I kept finding them. I said, you know what? Someone might think this is neat to see that you can find these things in the wild. So I had already had a little bit of experience making videos. I was doing some hiking videos. Me and my brother-in-law are big mountain climbers, so we had done some stuff. And he had started a YouTube channel, which is just all over the place. It was like motorcycle driving and beer reviews and like, but like watching him do it, I was kind of like, hey, like I know I'm gonna do a dry run. Like, I'm gonna go to a local indoor flea market, see if I can film something, and I won't commit to doing this unless I can make a video like in like a couple hours, right? I didn't want to like have a huge time sink. I'm a busy guy. I went and did that, made this thing, and I'm like, okay, that I'm never gonna put that on air. Like, I just want to see if I could do it. Made a couple things like that. Went out with my son, and then I decided, like, well, you know what? If I made the video already, I'll post it. Like, I'll just put it up there. And then right when I did that, my wife saw a yard sale posted down the street, like a mile away, and the guy said he had comic books. I reached out to him. He said, "Come over and look." And it was a huge find. Led to a chain reaction. I made those videos. So here I was, 3 weeks. I had 5 videos. 3 of them I never thought anyone would like. They weren't even supposed to be posted. And then I don't know what it was. Alex, the comic hoarder, was one of my inspirations. He's a guy I really like, and I've been talking to him. Reposted it, and then off to the races. That was the end of it. Like, it just went crazy. And so to Matt's second point, at no point did I care if anyone was watching it. It was scratching an itch of editing videos, which I like, and talking about comic books. I didn't really have any friends out here where I lived to talk comic books with. So I basically just made the YouTube channel I wanted to watch. Just threw it together, just like literally, like, honey, I need an intro. Here, Jack, my son, drop these coins. And Lauren, drop the stack of comics on the table and make them slide kind of cool. Literally, threw a filter on. Like, I did this all like in like an afternoon. And so I never had any thought. I just thought that there's got to be more people like me that don't buy expensive. Ignore what you see behind me. People don't buy expensive comic books at the time. And I think it resonated, with a lot of people.
But I think the way you talk sometimes, it feels like you take some heat from some people in your comments about, oh, this isn't lunch money comics when you paid this much money. But, I mean, just because I like cheap books, you like cheap books, we like, but that doesn't mean that we're not allowed to color outside the lines sometime and budget for it.
Yeah. Indulge, like, and I mean, it is a little bit of a misnomer. Like, a lot of people don't realize, like, the name of my channel was because when I was a kid, I was really poor. We were like food stamp family, and I couldn't afford comic books. I didn't want to ask my parents for money ever. I would literally scrounge around like in trash cans, like to get cans to bring to the redemption center. I would save my lunch money. I just would not eat at school. Like, I would just starve myself, to get a couple of quarters and nickels, stuff, ride my bike, get some books. That's where the name came from. But I tried keeping, I have disposable income now. I at least tried keeping that in mind. I'm still a relatively cheap person. I always have that in mind. I don't want to spend a lot of money. I try to like trade up for books. I sell cheap stuff I find at flea markets. You work your way up, but the idea behind Lunch Money Comics is still the same. Even if every once in a while, as an adult, I buy something I've always wanted since a kid. I think that's okay, but the spirit's still absolutely there. I am a cheapskate, I think, when it comes to a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. I think that it's really funny because I get the sense that you don't show every single book that you buy. Because I think that would be nigh on impossible for a lot of us. And so like the stuff that you want to show is like either the stuff that has like sentimental value that you found in a really, interesting place, or stuff that you found that was expensive and that like you took a lark on because that's kind of the stuff that people want to see. But yeah, I mean, like, I know that me personally, like the graph of money that I've spent on comic books is very, very low for most of it, and then shoots way up at the end. Like
Exactly.
I have one book. I have one book
Yeah.
that I spent $500 on. Everything else, like the next highest is 200, and then maybe 100, and then everything else is like $50 and below.
Yeah.
Emphasis on below.
Right.
So, like, especially like when you put stuff up on walls, like you're not necessarily going to put up the lunch money books, you know? Like that just makes sense to me.
I used to that wall. If you go back to like even like a year or so, I didn't have like really expensive books back there because I was a little sheepish about it, right? But here's the thing: like one of the things that caused a chain reaction. So like when you start making these, more people watch it, more people reach out to me. I go to more comic shows, more people recognize me. I meet vendors, I get friends. Like I met so many friends in the hobby, and they have books. And they're accessible to me. So if I want something, like it's a couple of messages away, I'll find someone who has it that's willing to part with it cheap or trade for it. So like the more people you know, the more connections you have, the easier it is to get that stuff, even if the price isn't necessarily like a lot cheaper. Like getting comic books breeds more comic books, and there's this natural progression. I never thought get half the stuff I'd ever have, and it's weird to me when I think back. Like a lot of this stuff, like it's a $500 book, and I spent $500 on that book. I maybe spent like $200 on that book, and the rest of it was stuff that I got from other people, trade. Someone gave me a great deal, handed me a box of stuff. Like that's what it happens. Like so, like it's weird how the hobby feeds itself. It just sort of happens. I have to think about how like rich people get rich. Like you need money to make money, but when you have it, it's just like a chain reaction. And these books like keep coming to me, and it's bizarre, and it feels icky. Honestly, Hagan, to your point, I started putting good stuff up there. I think I was talking to Comic Spa. And he's like, "Oh, your wall looks cool." I'm like, I should put the really good stuff up there at some point, just because it was doing like a live stream. And I swapped it out, but I feel weird about it. A lot of times I'm looking at it, I'm like, I should just put like my favorite $1 covers up here, and I'd feel a lot more comfortable doing these types of things. But people like looking at the big books. Like that's the truth. People tell me they want to see the big sexy things. So,
well, going back to what you said about like books creating books, like I think all of us that start a channel, we want to talk about comic books, and we're the guy, right? Like within your friend group, you're the comic book guy. And that means that your friends will talk to you about comic books, but they don't necessarily know it and love it like you do. So this allows those of us that are the comic book guy to find the other comic book guys. And so we've all kind of like Hagan and I always have said, like, this is my social media more. Like I don't do Facebook or, I have Instagram now, but only because of this. So like, this is what's led me to like trading and AOKs and things like that. And I've picked up a lot of books that way. And just like that, like you said, like rich people collaborate with rich people, it makes them more rich. Well, us comic book people collaborate with other comic book people, and we've amassed more books.
That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, exactly.
So going back to what you said about how you made a video quick, because I want to ask more people, because I know the way I make a video is needlessly complicated. How do you like what it is? I use a dedicated camera. I use my PC and stupid bloated editing software, but that's what I like, right? Yeah. Like, how do you put a video together?
Oh, that's great. Well, first I'm going to answer Matt's second half. I realized I didn't answer it. Did I ever think I'd have any influence? Obviously not. I did it for fun. But I try not to look at my views and subscribers, because if I do, it freaks me out. No. So the answer is no. So I went to a show with Comic Spa yesterday, and a lot of people come up and say hi, and they like the channel, and it's flattering. I love doing it and talking to people, but no, absolutely not. And I don't think I really have an understanding. I think one of the weird things is people see someone on TV and they think like, oh, look at that, that's like you're special. You're not. YouTubers, you guys know, you just need a phone, and like you could be bored and just talk to yourself. Like that's really what it is. There's nothing to it. So no, not only did I not know it was gonna be anyone was gonna watch this, I still refuse to believe anyone watches this silly stuff.
Comic book narcissist here said, that you do, and Jeff has talked to us about this as well. Jeff, when we've had him on a couple of times, but it's just you present what you're doing in a very well laid out, articulate way. You are you're congenial. You're just like, you're a guy that anybody would want to talk to. You're a nice person, and it comes across in the video.
You're very easy on the eyes.
Matt's wife thinks you're handsome. And And then, you know, according to Eric from SideQuest, we all think you're handsome, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
But I just, you know, I think that there's that element, not the handsome part, the way that you put things out there in just a very like easygoing way. It's not that high, like guys who are like, this is the key, or this book sucks. It's not like overly emotional, judgmental. You have a love for the hobby that comes across, and that's what I love about it.
First of all, I'm not a piece of meat. All right. Second of all, my wife doesn't even watch this channel or think I'm handsome, so that's fine. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah. So here's the thing: if people have met me in real life, I'm exactly the same. Like, I don't like pretension. You know, I think a lot of times, especially for us older guys, if I can call us older, when I watch the younger
call
generation,
me, not him.
Okay, but there's a lot of pretension online when you watch other YouTubers. Like, they're performing, they're performative, right? They're trying to copy and parrot what they see other influencers do. I do nothing different. The person you see right now is exactly the person I am in real life. I'm too old to lie to people on the internet. This is me. I'm talking about stuff that I like. Other than the fact I go to shows now and get bigger books, I've never changed what I do in this channel. The way I talk is exactly the same. I will just, like, if you watch like tomorrow's video, I get like some mail call stuff in cheap comic books. Like, I have no problem putting that video out. I don't feel pressure to get big stuff. I still go to down the street and haggle over a $5 comic book. Like, I don't change, and that's where I am. And I think hopefully that comes through to people. I think people in this day and age, it's refreshing just to have someone be honest and just like, that's what you want to see. You want to see, you don't want to see the negativity. You don't want to see the clickbaity stuff. You know, for you Star Wars fans, you know, like anger, fear, aggression lead to the dark side. Those are like the base parts of your brains. Those are like the lizard part, right? Those are the things that get the first reaction. That's why controversy and headlines get people to, you know, watch. But you don't keep people, because people get tired of that. They just want honesty. They just want to feel good. So this is it. I just talk normal, and that's all this channel is just me talking about stuff that I like. I don't care if people watch. I hate to say it, but like, I'll still make it if people don't watch. I just like doing it. I like the friends I've made, and I like talking about comic books.
Like,
so hopefully
Nate and I have talked about this. Like, I guarantee you that if you would still agree to do it, like, we would still be doing this if nobody were watching. Like, we would just be doing this like on Discord or whatever. And to your point earlier, we talked about like all of us being the comic book guy, like in our circle. Before YouTube, I did not have a two-way conversation about a comic book. I'd had them about comic book characters and stuff like that, but about a comic book, I had not had a two-way conversation before the live stream that we did with Ricky. That was the first time that I had ever like done something like that before. And the reason why I bring that up is because the thing that attracted me to like the YouTube Trinity that we've mentioned, the you, Mon, and Ricky, is that like you all struck me as being genuine and doing what you wanted to do. And it was really, really nice when I was tricked by Ricky into coming into that show, because he didn't tell me everybody that was going to be on there. He said it was going to be him and Bruce from Up North Comics, and then everybody. But it was really, really nice to be backstage beforehand and after the show, and just realize that like that I was right, and that you guys are just the complete same. It was just really, really cool.
I think it speaks volumes that before we go on for 5 minutes and after we turn it off for 5 minutes, the conversation we have is exactly the same. Like
100%.
Right before we came on, the three of us were chatting, and it's no different than what we're doing right now. It's just right now we're trying to click into chat and get their POV. And this is a good question, because it does take a lot of time. So is there any static? You know, and I can speak to this as well for myself, but you know, because I'm running 2 streams a week plus trying to put a video out. But is there do you have any trouble managing? Because Mike, a lot of times you put out 2 videos a week, or you were anyway for a while.
All right, so I can answer this all, and I have to answer your question too, Nate, about how I film this, because it ties in, right? So
okay,
I am a perfectionist when it comes to like editing and stuff like that, because I love doing it. But I said in the very beginning when I made this channel, I know I have very small bandwidth to do stuff. I am a busy father of 2 kids. I was doing Cub Scouts for years. My son finally aged out, but I was doing that at the same time. I'm a musician. Usually on Sundays, I'm playing music at church. It's a paid gig. I have to play later. Luckily, I have this morning off, so I can hang out with you fine fellas. I am incredibly busy. I have a real job. I'm a civil engineer. That's draining my life away. I'm so busy right now. So no, I said in the beginning, I would only do this for fun if I could do it quickly and with the least amount of technology possible. If you guys look at your camera quality, it's really good. My laptop camera is awful. I refuse to just buy a good camera or microphone, right? I do my entire channel on my cell phone. This is an iPhone 15 Pro. Used to be the 12. I do my whole channel on this. Other than thumbnails, sometimes I'll have to use the computer just because it's easier, it's quicker. I do the whole thing. I film everything on this. I edit on iMovie on this. And that allows me to do two things. One, if I'm out in the wild hunting, I always have my camera. I'm always ready to go. I kind of incognito. I have my camera mount. But I can edit on this. And the benefit there is when everyone goes to bed, kids are in bed, my wife goes to bed early, I'm up at night, I'm editing at night, like late until like 1 a.m. And I can just do a little at a time on my phone. Here I am watching TV, I'm watching something and I'm like, all right, go do a couple more clips for 15 minutes and put it down. And then I decided I'd only do one every week, right? And sometimes two when I kind of build up, I just do too much stuff, especially in the summer. I did that intentionally. I could ramp this up, guys, and make it like a full-blown thing. People have asked me, would you do subscriptions and Patreon? And I could sell comic books. And yeah, sure, I could. I know I will go insane and I'll stop doing Lunch Money Comics if I get burnt out. I've said from the beginning, I'll do one, unless, again, I have an overflow and I don't want the videos to get too far away. So I do everything on my phone. I edit at night. I film at night. And I only put out one video a week, and it keeps me sane, and it keeps my wife not too grumpy at me. So that's the first one. So that's how I edit it. I do everything on my phone. You don't need a lot of technology, guys, to make a YouTube video. You really don't. And you can do some pretty cool editing skills, although it's limited. You figure things out. Now, in terms of like the family part, in terms of editing and filming, that doesn't interfere, right? But yeah, the leaving thing, like on a weekend. So yesterday, I was gone all day at a huge comic book show on a rainy day. Kids were home. Like I do feel guilty about that. Usually in the summer for like flea markets and yard sales, I go out super early, like before anyone gets up. I'm out there, like I just don't sleep early is what it is. I do that. And then, I come home and have family time. And I just get around to editing later on. For big shows and stuff like that, I plan them ahead of time. And although people, you mentioned, Nate, like you see a video every single week, I've actually been taking a little bit of a break this year. I've been pretty burnt out and busy. So what I've been doing is I've been skipping weekends where I do nothing, or I'm doing family stuff. And I'll get a couple of videos again a weekend and stagger them. Like I'm always usually a couple weeks out until recently. I've been a couple of weeks out, and that's just, again, it leads to the fact that I can take a weekend off. I can hang out. So that's sort of the answer. It's a juggling act, 100%. It's a complicated juggling act, and I still sometimes don't know what the heck I bit off. But I do feel like now that people do watch, I do feel I owe them a video. I've never skipped a week. I will at some point. But I feel like I owe people a video, like they expect it. So yeah. I sometimes I do, admittedly, oh, honey, I'm going to sneak out for a couple hours. I need to get some content, which sucks. Like I feel bad.
I will tell you this, Mike. I think if you, like, I have certainly skipped weeks because I've been too busy. And I feel like I've set a goal for myself. I don't have the audience you do, but I've set a goal for myself that I want one edited video out every week. But the reality is that sometimes life gets in the way. And so I just give myself permission that this is a hobby. And like, if I'm forcing myself to do it, then it's not as fun. And I don't want to see you get burnt out because I so look forward to your videos. So if I skip a week, if Mike doesn't put a video out this week, but I know that it's because you're out there living your life, I think that's okay. And I think everybody would understand that.
Yeah. I mean, there's a quote I say a lot is I always misquote it, but like, when passion becomes profession, it leads to procrastination. As soon as something becomes your job or feels like a job, you drag your feet, right? But if something that you love and you have a passion for, you'll do it fine. And although, yeah, I mean, no secret, guys, I do get a little bit of money from ad revenue, which covers, like my gas and stuff like that. And I can buy a comic book every once in a while. I'm not like I have a real job. I don't make that much money off it, but if I don't want to think about that, because if you start thinking about like, oh, the algorithm, you need to make money. I don't know how people who do YouTubing as for a living, I don't know how they do it, because like you wouldn't be able to do anything else. Your pressure to stay on top of it and always make something, it turns into a job. It's a job. This is not a job for me. It's a hobby. It's a passion. I try to make that distinction in my head very clear, because even if you like what you're doing, as soon as you think you have to do it, forget it. You don't want it. There's that little rebellious spirit in you that goes, well, I'm not going to make one. And I don't want to get to that point. I feel it sometimes, but what brings me back is the comics are awesome. And I like making videos. I'll be like, I don't want to do this. But then I start editing. I'm like, ooh, I like putting the new text in there. A new logo, so that brings me back.
Yeah. Um, God, I just had a thought and
Sorry.
totally lost it, but maybe
Well,
it'll come back.
while
Go for it.
you're trying to recover that, do you, uh, Nate? It passed on to me. I lost my thought too.
Good
We're
deal.
we're
I do
we're
that. I
not.
have that effect. I talk too much. I'm sorry.
No,
No,
you're
no.
fine. This is great stuff. Like this
It's
is
not your fault. We're not very good at this.
You guys are great. You guys are doing great.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back. Oh, I know. Here's something I really want to know. And I don't know the answer to this. So this is a big deal to me. One of my favorite things, favorite videos and stories from the Lunch Money Comic channel is when you found the Archie Comics fan club book at that estate sale.
Yeah.
And it ended up being a big deal because that thing's a unicorn. No one had seen. I mean, that is such a cool thing to find something that is basically lost to history, and you rescued it. You were like Indiana Jones. It belongs in a museum, right?
Yeah.
And so you found a new home for that, and then you use the revenue from that to get yourself some good books. But what I really want to know is, did you read that book?
Yes. Absolutely. I mean, I can't say I've read every single thing, but I looked at every single page and looked at the articles and the pictures, and oh yeah, it was definitely a weird thing. I do want to mention, I forgot this as well earlier. The whole Lunch Money Comics thing, that's a perfect example for two reasons. One, not only was it buying something cheap and leveraging it up to my Grail book, but the reason I heard about that is a coworker of mine, and I didn't tell anyone, guys, for like a long time, not family or friends, that I had a YouTube channel. Nobody knew. Right. People, like, after a year, like, oh, by the way, I have a YouTube channel. Oh yeah, you got a couple people watch you, and then like they were shocked. I didn't tell anyone, but I did tell a few people at work offhandedly, and it caused a chain reaction. Then people heard about it. A guy at work contacted me. He knew a person who saw this estate sale, knew I like comic books, and contacted me. And although I'm always watching that space to find out about local estate sales, I didn't see that one. And I raced there, and that's why that happened. So to the other things, like when you're in the hobby and you know people and you have a YouTube channel, people call you. That would not have happened had I not just like offhandedly mentioned that I had a YouTube channel. So that's like the Lunch Money Comics thing, right? And then I found that book, and here's the thing: I saw a picture on the estate sale, like on the Facebook page, and I could identify most of the books. It was kind of grainy, but I was like, that's a weird looking thing. So when I was there scoffing things up, I was looking for that Archie book. No one, I saw it. So I asked someone if they saw it. Oh yeah, no one picked it up. It was just sitting there. And it was so odd. And I couldn't find it. You guys, when you do this hobby, you're pretty good at finding things, right? Especially where I collect antiques, I can find anything, right? Couldn't find it, and I kind of had an inkling of what it was, and that, the chain reaction was, yeah, it was one of a kind. A lot of people reached out to me and told me about it. I did go through it because it was such a weird thing. It was it was handed out at shoe stores. I think this one was in New York.
Oh.
And it was for the Archie fan club, and it was like a promotional thing. I can't remember the name of the shoe store back in the 40s, but yeah, that's where it was handed out. And
it didn't happen to be Schiff's shoes, did it?
I don't know if it was Schiff's. I don't remember.
Okay,
I know, probably. I don't remember.
I've come across some weird promotional books from Schiff's shoes that have an Archie quality, but they're not Archie.
No, I can't remember. I could look it up now. But but so because of that, it was such a weird thing. You open it up, and there was like a live action Archie thing back in the day. So there was some of the actors from that were inside of it. There actually wasn't much Archie in it. There wasn't like a lot of like cartoon in there. A couple of one pages of like, Christmas. It was a Christmas edition. Like how to wrap your gifts nice and things like that. How to make a new Christmas card for your loved ones out of, construction paper. That was what was in there. And so it was interesting to look at it. Me and Jeff, Comics took a ton of pictures of it, just so we could look at it quickly, but I can go back and read it. And I did. I looked at all the pages. It's wild. And my wife loves stuff like that, so she read it too. It was pretty cool. Yeah.
Very cool.
If you wouldn't mind me saying, I think my favorite Mike from Lunch Money Comics story is you hiding the Spider-Man 2099 and scrounging up money for it, and then going back to buy it and pedaling home on your bike with it in a plastic bag. Because like I just connect like so much with that. Like I've told you before that the way that I started collecting comic books was my dad would give me $5 or $10, and I would go hang out in a dollar bin. And so like that's the kind of thing that like really draws me to that. And I've sort of cultivated the idea of like house fire books, of books that like they might be the most expensive books you own, but they also might be the books that you can't replace for one reason or another. And I was wondering if the 2099 was one of those for you, and if you had any, you don't have to like pick them out and show them, but like if you had any just like off the cuff where you were like, I would be devastated if I no longer had X or Y.
Yeah, and it's funny, yeah. Like, and I should think more about the house fire thing. I do have like couple nicer boxes of like stuff that doesn't make the shelf, right? And then like one of those black boxes, the nicer boxes where like the better keys are. There's that 2099 number one is in there because it's not worth. It's the cheapest book in there by far, but it sentimentally is by far worth the most. I kind of think of it as like your childhood stuffed animal. Like I still actually have mine. I don't sleep with it, obviously. Maybe I do. I'm not going to get into that right now. But if you did have it, like this one seems like it matters a lot to you, right? Like it means a lot. You still hold on to it. There's something there. Your blankie, for him, whatever it is. That's kind of like what that is for me. Every time I look at it, I remember that story, Hagan. And for those of you that don't know that story, when I was a kid, I was collecting all the 2099 number one foil covers. And I didn't have the Spider-Man one. Found it at my LCS. It was $5 because it came out it was like a year later. And I didn't have that lunch money. I went home and I couldn't find that money. So I went to the park next to where I lived and literally dumpster dove for cans. I lived next to a park, a playground, and a redemption center, man. It was like perfect. So it'd be like a baseball game. People throw the cans away. Like I did, that was like one of my grifts, right? So I would get all the cans and I did that. I just scrounged. I was covered in like sticky stuff and drove across town, across like these busy roads I should not have been driving my bike at, 11 years old, and bought that book. And I remember coveting it so much. I hid it in the back of the box so no one else would get it. And I got it. And I was really proud of myself. I got the $5. And it was like the most expensive comic book I ever bought at the time. $5. I could have bought 4 comic books, at $1.25 for that. What was I thinking? But I was so happy to complete my 2099 number one set. I had all the colored foil cover and I would organize them by like rainbow color. I mean, I was into it. And I just remember feeling so accomplished when I did that. It seems kind of silly looking back. Honestly, it seems wicked sad. When I think back to that, it was so sad. Like I wouldn't ask my parents for money. I remember looking under the couch cushions and like, it was awful, but that resonates. Like that's the story. Like that's the Lunch Money comic story. And that's something like my kids, this kills me. My kids will never understand what it was like back in the day. Like they have, not that I'm wealthy at all, but like they don't want for anything, right? Their grandparents spoil them. Like they want something, they get it. It's really annoying. And I keep telling the kids, like, you understand, like pick, if you have a television show that you want to watch, the fact you can just watch it whenever you want, that's insane. Right. That's insanity. Like I wanted to watch the X-Men, I had to wait till Saturday morning and be there at that time. And then they would end and you had to wait another year. Like they don't get that. And I try to explain like this comic book matters more to me than anything you see behind me. It's not about value, financial value. It's sentimental. And they need to understand that. I think hopefully I'm instilling those values in them.
I mean, I remember, older conventions. There was, I always think of The Simpsons, the Bi-Mon Sci-Fi Con that they would joke about, the bi-monthly convention. And we had a local one. And there was always the bootleg guy. The guy who, when I was a kid, it was VHS tapes. And as I got older, it was DVDs. But, there was no streaming. And there was no way to see this stuff after it had aired if it wasn't in syndication or going to be rerun. The only way you were going to find it was to find somebody who taped it off of a broadcast and burned it and would sell it to you illegally. And the fact that, like, my son is 10 and I can show him everything I grew up with, and just and all that on top of that, all the things that this generation has, the superhero movies and TV shows, like what a dream, if I could have had this kind of stuff. I mean, we had movies, we had Batman and Superman, and there was a Spider-Man TV show. And I just sent Hagan a clip of remember the 1970s Captain America with the clear shield where he rode the motorcycle? Like, I mean, we had stuff, but it wasn't what they have now. It's the best era to be a nerd. It's just wonderful.
I said this before. Like I was bullied like a lot as a kid. Like I wasn't a very big guy. I got teased a lot. I was poor. I got made fun of for being poor. Like this, and the teachers would like watch it. Like they didn't stop me back then. Like bullying is part of growing up. I remember just getting mercilessly bullied as a kid. So I tried to hide my nerdiness. But man, then all the things that I was into, Dungeons and Dragons, comic books, all the fantasy stuff, like all of that stuff. Star Wars is like the cool stuff. Nerds inherited the earth now. It's super cool. And I wish I could go back in time and tell, little 10-year-old me, you are going to be, well, You're going to be slightly better than you are now. That'll be my answer. Like, you're still going to be a huge nerd, kid. Don't get your hopes up. But
if I could go back,
the world around you changes. You don't change.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. Don't worry, little Nate. You're gonna grow up and be slightly taller. Not much.
No, that's pretty much it. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I always say the Thanos thing, like the fact that Thanos is a household name. If I went back in time and told myself like everyone on planet Earth will equate Thanos with like their Darth Vader at some point in time, my head I would have been like, you're lying. There's no way. Thanos, he's like 100%. A D-list guy. Like, no way. That blows me away. That's crazy. Rocket Raccoon. Holy smokes.
If we can
jump, fascinating because I'll say this, Nate, and then I'll
go ahead. Go
on. It's just so fascinating because I have I'm younger than you guys and I have a slightly different perspective. Iron Man came out when I was 9. And so like
you're a baby, man.
I know. But like the elementary school part of it, like I was into superheroes and stuff then. Like I had been given that stuff by my dad, and like whenever I let that show, like I was bullied, and I was alive and conscious for the shift towards like Avengers came out, and it was a thing. Like people like at school really talked about it, and I was really confused because I was like, how do you people know who Loki is?
Right.
And like the post-credit scene was Thanos, and people started talking about like, oh, Thanos is going to show up, and I was like, why do you guys know who Thanos is? Like, so I just have a slightly different perspective, but it is really cool to have seen that happen. Sorry, Nate, go for it.
No. What I was going to say is like Mike kind of mentioned that he's into and all three of us, I think we're kind of is the term polyglot. Like we have a lot of interests. Like we've all focused on comic books for what we create YouTube videos for. But like, I mean, I collect action figures. I play a lot of video games. I'm an avid, like, I read books, Dungeons and Dragons and board games and card games, and Cliff had mentioned earlier that his favorite video was your room tour, which was one of the most bitchin' things I've ever seen. I mean, I don't have a link to it, but holy cow, like Mike's basement has a secret door, and the antiques and the taxidermy and the medical stuff, like I think a big part of it is where you live regionally. You live in the oldest part of the country, in New England, so you have access to the oldest things we have in the country, more so than people who live, further west. But you really have amassed a very interesting and eclectic collection of antiques. And so I just wanted to have a chance for you to like talk a little bit about like what drives you to pick a piece to add to your collection, because your collection is insanely amazing.
So first and foremost, a couple things. One, I actually hid things from that video. There were a lot of things I didn't show. And it's because, originally when I was thinking about making the YouTube stuff and I picked comic books, I say I picked because it was the safest, right? Like it's not an unusual thing to collect, but I was very apprehensive about showing the other stuff I collect for a couple of reasons. Some stuff, not a big deal. Like people like antiques and old stuff, and it's cool. But it's the internet, guys. There are haters. There's always someone who's going to say something. And I have some things that I've collected in the past that I'm not going to say I'm not proud of, but like they're controversial things I think to hold on to. So to kind of get to your first question, like I love science and history. Anything related to those two things, especially if they're combined, right? This is the history of science. And I think a lot of times, like in modern times, listen, we live in, I'm not getting political at all, don't worry. But like we live in a world where like the idea of truth, objective truth is something that is usually frivolously thrown away. And people have to realize, the reason we come to understanding the world around us is because we make mistakes. Science self-corrects, and history is full of humans doing really dumb things and sometimes evil things. We're trying to get better and better and better. And that's the history of history and science specifically. So I am a big fan of seeing the progression. I love animal stuff, right? Like taxidermy, although it's creepy to collect taxidermy. I agree. I've never killed an animal in my life, guys. Don't worry. It's all stuff I've rehabbed and got at flea markets. But I love the fact you'd go to a museum when you were a kid. I love museums because you could see the goofy looking buffalo that they stuffed. or like, you see the little hunter-gatherers, like, and I just thought it was interesting to see how we've advanced as a civilization. You can see that progression in a museum. And I like that idea that you can see, I can put that stuff in my room and show it. Science, even more so, I collect old like quack medical devices because I love seeing how we thought like, hey, it was okay to drink radium water. Like, hey, drink radium, it's a new thing. And people like their jaws would fall off because they're just putting, like that to me blows me away. Or I have a bunch of electric devices, that people be like, oh, your baby's colicky? Electrocute the baby. It's fine. Like, that's crazy to me, but it's important to remember because honestly, a lot of that stuff, the seeds of it still carrying over to today. And I'm not just talking about medicine. I'm talking about science and even our understanding of history. Look, I love World War II. I love World War I as well. But like, you see history repeating itself. It's important for us to learn about our past, understand what's going on today. So I like to say I'm never shocked about anything going on in the world because I always find a relation to it. And that's something I love pointing out to my kids. They come down here. It's like a museum. Hey, you know what this is like? This is like when this happened back then. We're seeing echoes of it now. It helps them understand it. And honestly, when you understand it, guys, it's easier to accept. I find it as I get older, I'm less grumpy about the world around me. I mean, I am, but like, it's more because it's the world your kids are inheriting, but I understand it better. And I feel like I can understand it when it's tangible. I can pick up an item in my room next door. I can read the newspaper from World War II. Like, I can hold it in my hands. When you connect to the past, it helps you connect to the present. And that's why I collect this stuff. And if it's in that straddles that line of good and bad, it's interesting, but also kind of icky. I like those the best because I think it's good to accept ourselves as humanity, warts and all. And I like that.
Doesn't that also connect to to comic books? So like this Lois Lane, where she's fat, and I just read it. This is one of the most sexist things I've ever read in my life. Like it was, and it was funny. Don't get me wrong. I laughed, but like there were points where I was like, that's kind of icky. And you have to look at it through the lens of the time that it was created. And you're doing that same thing with these antiques. You're looking at, medical science or, social science, whatever it is that you've got a piece of. My dad and I have some pieces of, it's a jazz band, this African-American jazz band. And the pieces they're not completely like, bad racist, but they look like we're not sure about it. We don't display it. So, we collect antiques as well. And we like it for the time period it came from. We're not sure if it's okay.
Well, that makes sense. That was the second part I was going to get to. So I like to collect the icky stuff, but here's the thing. So I love museums as I was a kid. Like, I loved going to museums. I still love going to museums. I wanted my basement. I when I lived in a condo with my wife, I had all jammed in a couple like cool cases. I go to a lot of flea markets and antiques around in New England. Sure. But when we got the house here, I got a whole room to myself and I could add to it. It was great. I was trying to create a museum. The problem is museums, guys, are kind of icky in a lot of ways. Not all of them. And like, there's been a lot to do, especially in modern times, when you look at like the British Museum. British Museum in London is the greatest museum I've ever been to in my life. It's unbelievable. And the reason it's unbelievable is because the British Empire colonized half the world, took all the cool stuff and brought it back. I mean, there's a piece of the Sphinx's beard there. The Rosetta Stone is there. They have like a Maui from Easter Island. And it's amazing. Like, oh my gosh, look at the stuff they have in this place. Until you realize it was taken from somewhere where people probably died. And one of the things I come across a lot at flea markets, I find pre-Columbian pottery. I find, it's amazing, right? Like idols and stuff from Central and South America. And I love this stuff. A lot of times I felt like I was saving it because, like someone died, someone bought their estate. It was an old professor from a college and they're breaking this collection. I'm like, you can't do that. Keep the provenance. And I would buy them all and I would display them. Look at this. This is, 1,500 years old, made by someone in Ecuador. Like, that's amazing. You connect to that history. And then you think about it and you think, wait a minute, I just spent money on something that was almost certainly taken from people who were killed, and that there is that ickiness there. And although maybe I'm just talking myself into it's okay. But for the same reasons where I say, oh no, it's important to learn from the bad parts of our history. It's important to kind of hold on to them. The other part of me says, yeah, but you're no better than other people. Now, I'd like to delude myself thinking I am. I'm not selling this stuff. I'm not creating a market for it, but it is a little weird. And same thing with taxidermy. Like I never kill anything, but if you collect taxidermy, if you're not into hunting too much, I could see why someone would be like, well, that's still messed up because you're feeding an economy for dead animals. Even World War II stuff. Like I have a lot of World War medals from the World Wars in Vietnam. I've had people tell me like, do they belong to your grandfather? I'm like, well, no, I don't know who they belong to. Like, well, you shouldn't have them. You know what I mean? Like that, or like I have bayonets, like that could have killed someone. The connection there is important, but there's a little bit of that weirdness that's made me kind of second guess my collection a little bit. But I think it's okay to be uncomfortable with it. I like sharing that with people. As when I was a Cub Scout leader, I'd bring all my skulls collection to show the kids, to teach them. It was weird. Some kids would get weirded out by it, but it was an interesting education moment. These kids don't see stuff like this. So it's a love-hate relationship, honestly. It's a balancing act. And that's why I didn't choose that stuff for a channel. I could make a whole channel about all the stuff I collect. I think it would be pretty cool. But I picked comic books because I thought it was safe at the time, and I didn't want the heat. And I still get heat for comic books, don't get me wrong, but it's very, very small compared to I know. And here's the thing, all the arguments people make for that stuff, I get it. I totally get it. I wouldn't even disagree with them. And that's the thing. So, so that's the whole deal with those. So that's why I collect what I do, but I do have it's a weird relationship now. The older I get, I'm always like, it's a little weird.
I wouldn't presume to tell you how to feel about these things, because that line of like where history becomes a real human being is it always is, but that line is different for people from person to person. And so I wouldn't presume to tell you how to feel about that. I don't think what you're doing is wrong at all, especially since you aren't the ones actively looting, the Ecuadorian countryside. I think that
there's that one time.
But you were young. You were in college. Everyone did it.
Everybody gets one. I think that it's really fascinating because a lot of people say that they're fans of history, but you can look at history a lot of different ways. And one of the most common ways to look at it, which I disagree with, and I can tell that you do as well, is that history is it's a story of it's a stitched together story of individual stories of great men. And I don't think that that's right at all. I think that I took an archaeology class in college, and the guy said that the thing that you learn most from is the trash that people throw out. You learn so much more from that than you learn from like the tombs of kings, because you learn how people actually were. And so by you having an appreciation for the smaller parts of history and the more broken and tinted and tainted parts of history, I think that's admirable. And I think that it's up to people like you and to people who have that sort of appreciation to keep that alive, because you can't necessarily always rely on museums to do it. They have they have a vested interest in that.
That little speech that Hagan just gave there, that's why people don't believe you're under 30. And also like the comment about learning about trash. That's why I collect Darkhawk.
Oh, there it is. But hey, you're right. So here's the thing. The fact that I just kind of said why I'm uncomfortable with that stuff is why I feel like I appreciate it more. Like, again, when I hold these things, there's the melancholy when I think about it. Whereas I've seen people sell and trade this stuff, and they're like, "Oh, look how cool that arrowhead is!"
Exactly.
Like that's the difference. Like I like collecting icky things because it pulls at me. I feel that person.
I think your perspective, the fact that you're conflicted, means you're the right person to look at that and examine it and appreciate it. If you're a person who looks at it and celebrates it, like you said, that's not the person we want to have. That's not the story that we want told.
Right.
I think that those other parts of our, we are comic book collectors, but I think also in our own ways, whatever it might be, we're just collectors. Like most collectors don't stay in one lane. We dip our toe into a lot of things.
Yeah.
We're coming. I apologize. No, it's a great tangent. And where I do want to go to bring it back to comic books, though, is I think all three of us are going to Heroes Con, correct? Are you planning to head there, Mike?
I got my ticket. I'm already on my way. Yeah.
Awesome. So because Hagan and I have been talking about what our plan is, our Heroes Con plan. Are you heading there with a plan? Like, are you looking for a particular book, or, Yeah, like just what are you thinking? I've never been to this one. Hagan's been before. I know it's a great show.
Well, no. The short answer, the truth is, I almost never have a plan. You know, there's some books I want to add to my collection, but whenever I go out, like I like the idea of just like I don't really have a plan. I do want to have my Heroes for Hope X-Men book signed by more people. I think there's like 3 more people there I can get signatures for. I haven't met yet, so I definitely gonna do that because there's so many incredible personalities there. It's unbelievable how many people there are. But like, no, I have no books in mind. Like, I might just go and hang out with people and get a few books signed, maybe an original piece of art. But like, I'm just as likely to end up with 0 comic books as I am to get something big. So, and I'm excited to hang out with people. Like, that's what I went to a comic show yesterday. I think Jeff said it earlier in the chat.
Yeah,
we probably looked at comic books for 15 minits. I was there for like 5 hours, and I just talked to people the whole time, and I loved it. Like that was fine. It's the hanging out. It's gonna be a fun weekend with the guys and gals of the comic hobby. So I'm pretty excited for that.
So when you went to that show with Jeff and people come up to you and you just end up talking, is it just like this, like just random topics that come up and organically you guys are just talking about?
Yeah, I mean, if it's someone I've never met before, it's usually because they like the channel, and they're usually kind of shy at first. And I always, if someone's gonna say like they come over and watch the channel, like I'm gonna make sure I spend like 5 minutes talking with them. Like, like I just want to, thanks for saying hi. Like I really appreciate it. And yeah, and I just ask them what they're collecting, what are they picked up, what are you into, and yeah. They tend to want to talk about the channel, and I try to not to talk about the channel. I want to talk about them, Hey, that was like that's something you guys did. Like, hey, that was cool when you got that Archie. I'm like, yeah. What did you pick up today? Because like, let's talk about you. Like, I don't know anything about you, and it's cool. I ask where people are from. Cause I'm always surprised by how far people. Like, I drive a lot, but there's people from Pennsylvania came up to New Hampshire. You're talking like a 5-6 hour drive, just to go to a comic show. Like, that's crazy to me. So that's cool. So I love talking to people, where they're from, what they collect. That's what I like.
Yeah, I am into like going back to the very beginning, like and Steven said, I'm not mentioning Alan as part of my Trinity, and that's because like the first 3 channels I started with Comic Tropes many years ago, but that's like long form, deeper dives. I love Chris's channel. I still watch it.
Comic
but like
for me.
Yeah, so, yes, yeah, but for like this sort of channel, like I feel like Mike kind of started it. Like it's okay to talk about cheaper books and things that you love. And that's the thing is like, I like watching channels where people are passionate about what they like. I know I've left comments on Mike's videos, like you went past all of those DC books, but Mike, even though I'm not a big X-Men guy, I like to watch you talk about X-Men because that's what you're passionate about. So I don't care what the comic book content is per se. I want to see the person who's talking about it talk about something they really like. And so when I talk with people, that's what I want to do. I don't want to talk about YouTube or the channel or anything. Right. I want to talk about, well, what books are you reading? Because if you're into it, that might be something I want to check out,
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've gotten into lots of things. Like I wasn't into Dave Stevens at all until Comic Spa. It's like one of his favorites. I'm like, oh, these are pretty cool. Like you learn about stuff. And even as a Marvel collector, I've gotten way more into DC because of recommendations from people I've met online. Like, you got to read this, man. And you do. And so talk to other people. Like, don't keep yourself sheltered. Everyone has been, we're all reading lots more stuff collectively than any one of us could read by ourselves. So the more you can talk about what's out there, the more you can find a niche that you're into. So
the wisdom of the crowd, for sure.
100%.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I know you said you were kind of tight on time, Mike, and I want to respect that.
We haven't showed comic books, and I feel like people have to see comic books on a comic book channel.
Okay.
So
how about you show a couple things that you brought?
Sure. So a couple things. Listen, I just mentioned DC, especially Nate, because you're big into DC.
Yeah, I am.
I got stuff. This is what I'm reading right now. What's next? I was mentioning independent stuff. The distillery stuff was recommended to me by someone again, and it's all awesome. My only problem with distillery stuff, it takes forever for them to come out. You're waiting like months between issues, and it's torture, but it's excellent. It's an excellent read, by the way. 1 for Sorrow, fantastic. Can't wait for the next one.
What's kept me away is the prices. I mean, it's like $10 a book.
But there's a lot in it. There's a lot more than a normal comic book. That's the way like I told myself,
Yeah.
These are next on my reading list. I can't wait. So right, I got to get to them eventually. So these are literally next on my pile. So I'm actually excited, like really excited. Like can't wait.
All-Star Superman. I feel like there's going to be a lot of nods in James Gunn's Superman movie just based on what I've seen so far.
Heard that. Yeah, and I think the aesthetic's similar. So I'm excited for that. I have a video coming out tomorrow. It's completely random. A whole bunch of people sent me some gifts, like a mail call. And I got to call out Adam in the chat because Adam sent me something that's waiting at my local comic book store right now. And I've heard from people that's pretty cool. It's not in the video tomorrow. I apologize to Adam. So I will be in a late future video. But I got some stuff from history. Someone sent me a whole bunch of World War II stuff. Really cool things came in. A aspiring comic book artist, writer sent me some stuff. But I snuck in some comic books. And one of them was I went to a local sale of one of my friends. And I got this. So this is actually, Green Lantern 25 from Volume 4. This is the first appearance of the spectrum of colors, like the cameo of the Red Lanterns, Orange Lanterns, blue, whatever. But this one's triple signed by Jeff Johns, Ethan Van Sciver, and Ivan Rice. So,
wow.
Yeah. The person that it came from, they came to the store with a huge box of signed books. They went around to tons of comic shows and just had them all signed. There was Alex Ross in there. And this one, my buddy had it for a while. No one picked it up. I was like, come on, triple signed. I got it for $20. So it's a cool book, right?
There's your cool trinity of Green Lantern creators right there for the modern era.
I know. So I was like, I'm gonna buy it. I have to buy this. I went to a show yesterday. Talk about cheap stuff and learning from others. This segues with a whole bunch of stuff we just talked about. A buddy of mine, Justin, No Good Comics. I saw him a few weeks ago down in New Jersey, and he picked up a book. It's a Nick Cardy cover, and I love Nick Cardy, especially for the Aquaman. Nick Cardy, late 60s, early 70s, that retro mod style. Like, I love it. And Justin found this book. It's not an expensive book. I said, I love this cover. If I can find it cheap, I'm gonna get it. I found it for $10 yesterday at the show. Not a key issue, guys.
No.
It's cool. It's Teen Titans. What number is this? 33, right? And we have Lilith, and it's just a cool retro looking cover, from the 1971.
Absolutely.
I just loved it. Like, it doesn't have to be a big expensive book, guys. It's a great cover. It's cool. And actually, I was looking for these. There's a lot of cool Teen Titans covers back in.
There really are.
Oh, they're awesome. They're absolutely awesome. And because Steppo's in the Steppo still here. I got this. Ooh. So I am not into bondage covers. That's not my thing. This is a bondage cover. And a lot of these jungle ones, to our point earlier, they're kind of culturally insensitive, when you look back at them. But again, kind of interesting still to point them out. I got this with a friend of mine in mind because he likes bondage covers. But when I got it and picked it up, I'm like, no, I'm going to keep it. And I like this person a lot, but too bad. I really want this cover. It's cool. I just think it's awesome. So,
Steppo is still here. And sorry, Jeff from Comic Spa, you'll have to find your own bondage cover.
Right. Oh, there it is. There you go. And to give you guys time to look at comics, I got to show off one big book because this was in my most recent video, I think. And I'll show it. Hold on. Again, people like the
I knew it.
Books. People like the sexy books. So, and this might make a big pick up. This is my number one book for 2025. So that's why when you ask me what I'm going to do, like at the big shows coming up, I don't know. Everything else is gravy now.
Yeah, I was about to say it's all gravy from here after that.
All gravy, man. If I get no other books, I'll be happy. First, Green Witch, Viridian Witch, and Quicksilver right there. So, it's been a book on my list for a long time, and it's a 3.0. You see this like chip up there, and it's like a tear, but it presents awesome. The colors are great. That's what you want, guys. You want a good presenting, low grade book. You get the best bang for your buck. So
the colors on Marvel Comics from the Silver Age are almost always faded or washed out, and that one, I mean, is just gorgeous.
Crazy.
I can't believe how good that looks.
I saw it from like 30 feet away, and I see them. They're actually kind of rare. I don't see them often. But man, I saw this like 30 feet away. Like, holy smokes, hand me that book. That is crazy. Screaming at me. It's a bright color, cover. It looks great on the shelf, by the way. Between all those other faded books, it really stands out. So that was the big pickup of 2025 so far for me. And I'm okay buying dollar books for the rest of the year, pretty much. So this scratched an itch for a while. And I mentioned this on another live stream. You guys ever like buy something kind of pricey and like you have buyer's remorse? Even if you really wanted it, you're like, oh man. There's starving people in the world. Here I am buying expensive paper. I have that gut check. None. I have no buyer's remorse whatsoever. Like, I don't care. I would have spent more on this book. Like, every time I look at it, I'm like, heck yeah, I deserve it. You deserve it. That's what I tell myself. So that was my big pickup so far. So there you go.
Very cool.
That's
I
awesome.
just have a couple things I want to show. I have others, but they can wait for other streams. First, from Stepo, Steven, he sent me this. This is the Nathan Zerdy Virgin variant of the Uncanny X-Men 130 facsimile. So I am a huge Dazzler fan. That's another book I'll show here in just one second. But this thing is just absolutely freaking gorgeous. He won it in an auction, and he was generous enough to send this to me, and it arrived yesterday, and I'm really stoked. This is one that this will make my little mini wall back here on my filing cabinet. It's just a great cover. And then this is not necessarily a great cover, but this is Dazzler number 36, and this is the last one I needed to complete my run. So this is really significant to me. It is a newsstand. It's not a Mark Jewelers, I checked, but this is it. So now I have 1 through 42. I have her first appearance in facsimile and for real. I have I have a ghetto copy of 130 that I got for $20, but I've got it. So now, like, I'm going to put the whole thing together. I'm going to read this thing from beginning to end. I cannot wait.
I've never seen that cover, and I've got so many Dazzlers in collections. I've never seen that cover.
You know what's funny is, like, this was literally the last one I needed. Dave from Still Only 35 Cents sent me a ton. And, speaking of how generous the community is, sending me comic books from freaking Australia to help me complete a dollar bin run, but this one, when I grabbed it at my LCS, I had never seen it either. Like, I don't know, these later issues, she got canceled for a reason. It only went to 42. It wasn't selling. So it kind of makes sense that maybe this is not one that we see all that often. I'll show 2 more. This one was cool. So this is just a random issue of Superman 783. My friend Eric, who's also a huge Superman fan, he gave this to me and said, you need to read this because this is like, this is a great Superman book. So in it, Superman it's called The Choice. He's fighting 4 supervillains, and he's Superman. He can literally flatten all of them, right? But throughout this process, he's remembering words of wisdom that he got from his father about how his words are more powerful than his actions, and that he needs to give these villains a chance to step over to the other side and admit that they were wrong, and then they can move forward. And so there's 4 fights going on, and 3 of them turn their back on him, and he has to pound them. But the 4th one listens to his words and changes his mind. He shakes Superman's hand, and it was like, I didn't think it's just a random issue. I didn't think it would be as powerful to me as it was. I loved it. So this is Action Comics 783 from
Very
2001.
And resolution with the handshake. I will say, when you held it up, though, I thought it said choke on it.
Well, he may have choked somebody, one of them. So this, I don't, like I said, it was just a random issue that a friend suggested, and I get why. Like, it was a really good, well done Superman story, the kind that I really like to read. So this was a huge get for me. These archive editions of old DC comics and Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane. This collects her first appearances her first solo stories in Showcase, and the first 8 issues of Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane comic book. This thing regularly goes on eBay for $100 or more sometimes. Now mine, as you can see, is a library copy. It's got the barcode, but I'm a reader. I don't care. I'm not buying this as a collector. And actually, because it's got all the library stuff on it, like the film protective stuff, it's in perfect shape. Flipping through it, I think I might be the first person to have actually opened it and read this. Big surprise, right? So I got this on eBay. It had a picture that it was a stock image that didn't match this cover. It was just a random Lois Lane picture, but it said, Superman's Girlfriend Archive Volume 1. And so I rolled the dice on it. I got this shipped to my house, free shipping with tax. It was under $20.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just one of those things. Full color.
Yeah,
full color. Beautiful. Yep.
Yep.
Beautiful. These archive editions are like the Marvel Masterworks. They were coming out at the same era. And I could not be happier to have picked this up. So someone bought this at probably a flipper, bought a bunch of books at a library sale and thought, hey, I'll throw this on eBay and see what happens. And I made out like a bandit because I didn't want to pay $100 for that. I actually passed on a copy for $30 at my LCS that was used, and then figured out that they won $100 on eBay, so it felt pretty good. Hagan, do you have anything you want to show today? I know you're not at your home base.
Yeah, no, I have not. I've just been having a friend weekend, we were talking about like other interests and stuff. I have a D&D game in 5 hours that I have to get ready for. No, 4 hours that I have to get ready for. So no, I have not been a comic booker this weekend.
I'm getting a plane ticket right now, Hagan. I can be down there.
Yeah. Are you're dungeon mastering, right?
I am dungeon mastering, and Mike, it's online. So
I use Roll20
or
D&D Beyond.
There is a free plugin for D&D Beyond called Above VTT, which is excellent, just super easy, and we do Facecam on Discord. That's what we do.
Yeah, I got all that, so I could. Yeah, we'll talk.
We're gonna have to talk because there's 3 dungeon masters in this little panel.
I just excited to actually play as a character for once. I'm always a dungeon master.
Exactly.
I only gathered a group like a year ago. We've been playing for less than that, but so no, like I will be the forever DM. I can already feel that about myself, and that I have no problems with that.
I do something really nerdy just for you guys. Sorry for the people in the audience who don't play D&D, but like this is what's
very cool.
We got. Yeah, I mean, like literally, I'm looking at like a D&D setup of a recent game, like on the other side of the screen here. Yeah,
I've got to get back. Got to get back into that. Well, Mike, you said you got a new video coming out tomorrow.
I do.
Anything else coming up for you that you'd like to plug?
Well, so they went tomorrow. Actually, I saw Outer World Comics. I didn't see they were in here. I talk about them a lot tomorrow. They sent me a fantastic act of kindness. So some really cool stuff, especially for you history lovers out there. As we mentioned, it wasn't all comic book stuff. In fact, it was mostly historical stuff. Pretty cool. That's in tomorrow's video. This video I threw together. I've been really barely getting videos out lately. I've been so busy. That's tomorrow. I went to a big show yesterday. I'll have that like a week from now. And guys, it's 2 things. It's comic show season and it's flea market season. The only thing that's really held me back from flea markets and yard sales is the fact that it's New England and we don't really have spring. It's just winter, second winter, third winter, fall, spring mixed in there. So that when it gets warm enough out and dry enough, there'll be a lot more flea markets. That's my jam. Go out, find cheap comic books. I'm pretty excited about it. So that's hopefully I'll have a lot of footage there on both the flea market, the cheap dollar book stuff, as well as the bigger shows. For those of you that are interested in seeing that, I have a pretty full docket for this year. As long as I can fit in time with my family, of course. I'm going to try to go as much as I can to hang out with so many wonderful people in the community.
Awesome. Well, tonight I'm going to be on Matt Likes Comics channels at 9. On Tuesday on my channel at 8 p.m. I've got for sure Ryan Colossus Collector and Derek from Uncanny Derek Comics coming to hang out. Maybe they're going to let me join the Council of X. I don't know. Next Sunday on Hagan's channel on Let Us Comics for the Sunday Hangover show, we are going to be hosting Alan, the comic collector geek. So that's going to be really exciting as well. We're getting this show, I've got guests lined up all the way through, I think, mid-May. Nice. With us probably, I think we're going to take Easter Sunday off. It's nice to take a break, and that's just a weird day to try to find somebody. But that's what I've got coming up. And then I do just want to show real quick the shows that are coming up later today that you can watch. So church is going to start at 10:45. You were just here with us. I thought I found a cool lunchbox, Mike. I really like the A-Team.
Very cool. I love the A-Team as a kid, yeah.
So Dave, still only 35 cents, mentioned him. He's going to be on at 4:30 today. He is back from WonderCon, so I can't wait to see what he picked up there, because that guy picks up some talk about big boy books. Let's see, at 5, the Council is watching a movie. I don't know this movie at all. They've been doing these movie reviews. It's called Cooley High. And so they've picked directors that they're watching kind of like their catalog and their filmography. And this is Michael Schultz. I don't know the director. I don't know the movie. Interesting. Let's see. Heroes for Hire at 6 p.m. for the Sunday Super Show Extravaganza. Kicking it with K-pop at 7. Legion at 8:30 and Black Crown at 9. So that is the Sunday lineup.
I'm going to add one. I think Comic Book Canon and Joe from 360 Comics are doing a show at 8:30 because they asked me if I could do it, and unfortunately I cannot. So I think they're still going on after that.
Yeah.
Busy Sunday for all of us comic book people, huh?
My brother-in-law here, Frank Lloyd Wrong, he's like, Easter is 420. You have to do a show. What's so funny is that is actually my, totally random, but that is the first day I uploaded a YouTube video. So my channel will be 1 year old on 420, which I think is funny. So I don't know.
Or something,
Yeah, I might do something. I don't know. I don't know what my Easter plans are, to be honest. But happy Sunday, everybody. Mike, thank you so much. We'd love to have you back sometime.
Anytime.
This was a blast. I just love to chat with people from the community and talk nerd stuff with people who are willing to go deep nerd. What we really need to do is figure out a way, because Eric from SideQuest, there are a ton of D&D guys. Like, we need to figure out a way to do like a one shot or something one day where we do this, but I think it'd be a blast.
It wouldn't be hard. It really wouldn't be hard.
Yeah.
I'm
just with you, Mike. I want a chance to actually be a player. I don't want to DM it. I always have to DM it.
I got to thank the audience because great questions. We didn't even get to all the questions. I feel bad. Comic Book Narcissist asked my thoughts on the hobby. That's another time. You got to have me on to answer all these great questions from the community. You guys are awesome.
We have an awesome audience. We have an awesome community, and everybody's passionate about the hobby. And so, yeah, everybody in the chat, we had people from all over the world jump in here today. So thank you guys for being here and asking questions. And thanks for watching. And we'll see you in the next one.
Thank you guys so much.
Everybody. Yeah. Have a great Sunday, everybody.
Sunday.